Alright, boys and girls, today's lesson is lesson 7-1, and we finally get to start working with fractions. So, I guess just you're going to be doing some cutting and working on some workbook pages when you get small groups. So, I'm going to kind of roll through a couple pages, and I'm going to give you some time to start cutting, because I don't want you to have to waste a lot of time cutting today. So, turn to page 351, and this talks about unit fractions and fraction bars. It says you can represent a fraction with a fraction bar. The denominator tells you how many equal parts the whole is divided into. The numerator tells you how many equal parts you are talking about. So, here, in this case, there's the whole. The whole's been broken up into 3 parts, so the denominator is 3, and we've shaded one of those pieces in, so we're talking about one of them, which is the numerator. So 1 out of the 3, or 1/3. So a unit fraction has a numerator of 1. Okay, so a unit fraction just represents one piece. Okay, so shade the rest of the fraction bars at the right below to represent the unit fractions. What patterns do you see? Okay, when it's 1, the unit fraction is a 1, so the whole thing's filled in. When it's 1/2, the unit fraction is still 1. The unit fraction is always a 1. It's the numerator of 1, so it's a 1 of how many we're breaking it into. In our class this year, you would say each student is one of how many students there are in the class. So, next one says 1/3. So all we're doing is we're just going to color 1/3. Then you have 1/4. This is just a unit fraction. Okay, it's 1 unit. Okay, I'm going to color 1 of every one. As you can tell, what pattern do you see? The pattern you should see is that when the bigger the denominator gets, the smaller the unit fraction gets. So when you're thinking about pizza, would you rather have 1/8 of a pizza or 1/2 of a pizza? Most likely 1/2. Depends on how hungry you are. But the unit fraction gets smaller and smaller based on the denominator. That means how many pieces is broken up into. Alright, so let's get this out of the way. Let's kind of fly through the next page. This is going to be working with unit fractions. It says write the unit fractions for each whole. Next, shade the correct number of parts, then show each shaded fraction as a sum of unit fractions. Alright, so the first one says divide the whole into 5 equal parts. Okay, and then it says to shade 2 parts. So on the left, what they show is 5 equal parts. 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. It gives you all the fifths. Okay. Here, we're only going to shade 2, so we only want to talk about 2. So you need to show the fraction as a sum. So it's 1/5 plus 1/5, which equals 2/5. Not 2/10, 2/5, because we're not changing the denominator. We're just adding the unit fractions together. So number 10, we want to divide it into 3 equal parts. So we have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, and then it says shade 2 parts. So the parts that shade is 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. Okay, and here we didn't say equals because we're not shading any. Number 11 says divide it into 7 equal parts. So our addition problem over here would be 1/7 plus 1/7, 7 times, because it's 7 pieces. Okay, it says shade 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you understand where they're going with this. 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 equals 5/7. Okay. Next one wants you to do it in 8 parts, so you would write 1/8 plus 1/8. Okay, you write it 8 times. Okay, I'm not going to write all of it. You're going to shade 7 parts of it, so you're going to be shading 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 and plus 1/8. If you add it up, you have 7 unit fractions over the denominator of 8, so it equals 7/8 is shaded. Next one is 6 equal parts. So you're going to do 1, 6 plus 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 1, 6. This is shade 3 parts. So we're going to shade 1, 6 plus 1, 6 plus 1, 6. So it equals 3, 6 shaded. Next, this is divided in 8 equal parts. And then it says shade all 8 equal parts. Okay, I'll do the adding for this. 1/8 plus 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 1/8. That gives me 8/8 or 1. Okay, when 8/8 is a fraction, that's telling you that it's the whole. Alright, so we'll talk more about unit fractions. We'll talk more about fractions in a small group. What I want you to do now is I want you to spend a little bit of time cutting. I want you to turn to the page 349A. It was actually before these two workbook pages. And it says to cut out the bottom rectangle first, then cut on the dotted lines to make 4 rectangles. Wait to cut out the top rectangle. Okay? So the first thing you do is you're going to cut out the bottom rectangle. Then cut along the dotted line to make 4 rectangles. So you're going to do this. You're going to cut it out here. Once you cut that out, then you'll cut in here to make 4 separate rectangles. Okay? And this is wait to cut the top rectangle out. Let me see. I might actually have you cut that out. Let me see where we're going with this one. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? Just cut the top one out too. Once you get done, cut the top one out. Obviously, you're going to cut along the outside first. And if you want to cut into 4 squares first, or second, but then what you'll do differently is you'll cut down the middle to make it, to basically cut each one of these in half. So, go ahead and cut all that out. I have baggies somewhere in the room. And put them in the bags when you're done. Make sure you put your initials on the back. Your initials on the back or something so they know they're yours. And we'll work with them in a small group.